channel. Today we are going to make another meal in a jar. This meal will be a breakfast meal. I'm using the ingredients from my garden. I've diced up potatoes. I have onions I have to dice up. I do have sausage links that we have an Amish acquaintance that raises hogs for us, and so I only had to pay $2 a pound for these. Then I made ham broth out of the backs and the bones from the hog, so I have my own ham broth, and then my own seasoning mix, which I have raised, I'm going to say probably 60% of the herbs, which I will leave in the description below, the recipe for that. Now the other thing is, this is what I'm going to can, and then after we can it and we open up the jars to use them, so we can't can the eggs, and I found out it's best. I have frozen green peppers from the garden, and it's best to add it in later on. So we will open up the jars and I will show you, we will add the green peppers in the jars, and then we will scramble some eggs and add the eggs, and it makes a wonderful, wonderful meal. So, all right, let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and get these all cut up, and then I will get back with you. Okay, because I'm going to take this ham broth, I'm not gonna put it full strength in. I'm gonna dilute 50-50, 50 ham broth and 50 water. So to get my water hot, I'm filling up my jars with water, and I will go ahead and this also will sterilize the jars, which I know they say you don't have to, but I've been doing it for so many years, I just can't change my way on that, I guess. But at least I know my jars are sterile. But this will also, like I said, it will give me my hot water that I'm going to need to dilute with the ham. And then I can, they'll be good and hot. The jars will be good and hot when I go pour all the liquids and stuff in. So we'll get that going while I go ahead and start chopping up the onions. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get the ham broth in the pan so it can start warming up. And then when the water gets good and hot in here, then we'll pour half that water in here. Okay, I got my ham broth here. Now my jars are sterile, which I guess they say you don't have to, but because it's going underneath pressure, but I do it so I can, I need some water, and the water gets good and hot. So I'm going to pour 2 of these in there. And that will dilute my ham broth so I can put in the jars. Pour a little in my lids. All right. Okay, I got 7 quarts here that I'm going to fill these up. Okay, we're going to start with the onions.
Now you can chop the onions up any way you want. If you want thin slices, you know, or chunks like I got. The reason why I do the chunks of the onions is because they fit in the jar better and you can get more in them. The same with the potatoes here. You can cut them any way you want. If you want them thin sliced, or cut them up, cube them up like this. So, because again, you get, it's easier to get more into the jars. So you kind of want to use as much space as you can in your jars. That way you can get more food in them. Now here we tap them down, and so that kind of settles it down to make more room. The sausage, usually there's 1.5 links. Each link has 6 pieces of sausage. So that would be approximately 9 pieces of sausage to start out with. And then we tap it down again to make more room. Now, if you want to use sausage patties or ground salt, or fry up some sausage, ground sausage, put it in there, just ever how you like, the meat, ever how you like to eat it. So, and then add some more potatoes. And again, you can squish it down a little bit, but not too much. I mean, I don't like to really pack my jars down into their fullest, because we do want some of the liquid in that we're going to be putting in the jar. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to fill the jars all the way up. I'll fill them probably about 3/4 of the way, and that way I want to make sure I got enough, not 3/4, about halfway. So, yeah, between 3/4 and halfway. But I want to make sure I got enough of the ham broth in each jar, because then what we'll do, you see the jars aren't filled up to the 1 inch from the top, so then we'll go back and add some water, or you can add some more broth. I would probably suggest, well, taste your broth, see what strength you like your broth. If it's kind of too strong, then maybe add water instead. Now here we're going to get the air bubbles out of the jars. So you want to get as much air out as you can. And by getting some of the air out of the jars also helps from losing some of the water during the canning process. Now everybody has their own way of wiping the tops of the jars with. I always use a hot rag on top. Make sure everything's off of it so that way it gets a good seal. And of course put your lids on and your rings. Now the rings, you don't have to put them on super tight, just finger tight, just like that. That's all you need to do. You don't want to do it too much. From what I understand, if you put them on too tight, what happens is the lids will buckle on you. Then, because they can't expand if they need to release some liquids. So put them in the canner here. Now I can get 7 in my canners. My canners are over 50 years old and they are still working fantastic. My mother had them and then she gave them down to me, and hopefully I can pass them down to my daughter one day. Now here we're gonna, the heat is on medium high, and you gotta let it steam for 10 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna show you now what I do after these are canned. So the next thing we're going to do is add the peppers and the eggs. So once these are canned, let me get this off here. Now these, after you can them, if you notice the water level here, is like here where it was up here. A little bit of it came out, not much, but what happens after it cools down like it is now, the water will absorb back into the vegetables some, so it didn't lose that much water. It just absorbed back in. Because when you pressure cook this, the pressure of it will take the water out of your vegetables in here a little bit, but once it cools back down and the pressure comes down, it cools down, then the water absorbs back in. That's what I have observed over 42 years of canning. So we're going to open this up and I'll show you what we do here. Okay, get you a good hot skillet here. Pop this open. And just pour it in.
Now you want the liquid, and I got it, I should have turned it up a little higher. So what we'll do is steam out the liquid. So just cook it until all the liquid is gone. So right now I have onions in here, potatoes, and sausage. So we'll let that boil down. Okay, when you start hearing it fry up a little, whoops, got my glasses off. Get all the liquid absorbed and cooked into that. Now if you want to make it really good tasting, but probably bad for your health, I have bacon grease from the hog that we had. I usually put about that much in. And then, let me see here. Now, I add the green peppers. These are from my garden. During this stage here. And if you want to add onions too, more onions, that's fine. Get all that good taste. It's about a teaspoon of bacon grease. Okay. Now this is a cup of green peppers. I like a lot of green peppers. Let's turn the heat up here. And we'll let that get good and hot. Now for the quart size jar, I scramble up 5 eggs. Now that these are, I scoop these aside. It's not going to hurt it to run into your sausage mix. I have raised the green peppers, the potatoes, the onions all came from the garden. The eggs came from my chickens. And my chickens are mostly all natural grass-fed. So, and then the sausage, I only had to pay from the hog we had a total cost of $2 a pound. So there's about 1.5 pounds in each jar. And then I made, you can either use pork broth or you can use chicken broth, and that's what I used in the canner. So basically this meal, big breakfast meal, which can feed 3 people. So let's get these eggs. I'm getting ready at the beginning of the year. I'm buying all cast irons for skillets here now. My pans are pretty bad and I've always wanted to change over. So me and my son and my daughter-in-law, we all went to Kidron. We all get together, a bunch of campers and stuff, and we went to Kidron Layman's, and we were pricing pans and stuff like that for cast iron pans. You want more eggs, you can use more eggs. I will just mix it all together. Now that figures everything would stick when I'm filming. Usually I don't have that problem. Now like I said, you can add more eggs in this if you want. But these were 5 eggs. And blend it all together. Now, if you notice I didn't add salt or pepper or any seasoning, that's because I had the seasoning, my herbs and stuff, when I went to can it. I put it in the jar. So if you want more salt, add it, more pepper or whatever, garlic salt. that looks really good. Like I said, I got, and I already used one, but I got 7 quarts for these meals, breakfast meals in a jar. All right. That is really, really good. Like I said, all the flavor from the juice cooking it into the potatoes and stuff, really, really good. Wow, very good, guys. Woo. Thank you for joining me here, and I will leave the ingredients in the description below, so if you don't have a canner and you just want to make it, you can do it that way too. So, all right guys, take care.